Welcome into the LMU Women's Basketball Report for February 7th, our first one of February. Coach Evans in here with myself, Scott Erland, to talk about some women's hoops, as always. Coach, thanks for taking the time out of your day to join us, as always. Talking about last week, you go over to Brevard and get the 86-74 win. Pretty easy breezy win over there, but then what I really want to focus on is the Wingate game. Unfortunately, just for the first time all season, had to experience the pain of a loss. A really tough one to swallow, 71-69 loss. But just talk about last week.
Well, I mean, obviously it was tough because we would have loved to have gone throughout the entire season being undefeated, and it was a nice streak as it lasted. And but I just feel like the last few games, the pressure's been building. We've been playing different. We've been our mentality's been more playing not to lose versus playing to win. And again, because I think the girls were putting so much pressure on themselves, trying to keep that streak going and remaining undefeated. And of course, you're gonna get everybody's best shot. And Wingate was very prepared for us, and they had a great game and a great game plan, and they executed really well. And the last second shot fell in their favor, and it's funny when it actually went in, and I called timeout and advanced the ball, and we still had 0.2 seconds left on the game clock. I guess it's just because we hadn't been in that position before, really all season. You still kind of believe that something good was going to happen, and we still had a shot, and I did believe that. And but when we couldn't even get a shot off at the end, really with that time, all you could do was really tip it in, and they were packing in the paint so well that we didn't really get much of a pass off, and so when the buzzer actually sounded, it was just a huge look of shock, and that kind of went across our entire team. And so we went into the locker room afterwards, and my first thought was I was worried because the girls were crying, and it was just as if we had lost the national championship game. I thought I just was worried with how devastated the team was, and I told them, I said, I'm glad this hurts. I'm glad that you're upset. I'm glad that, I see tears in your eyes and that sort of thing, because it means that you care. And obviously if we feel this way and you guys remember how you feel right now, we'll do something different to not ever feel this way again. But they really resolved themselves in that locker room to come out and be more focused. And there's things that we could have done, mistakes that we made in that game that, again, it was by 2 points, one basket. So, if each individual in that locker room made one less mistake, we would have won, by maybe even double digits at that point. So, I think it's just more focusing on us, getting us better as a team. But at the end of the day, I do feel like this is actually a good thing, as weird as that sounds. And I think it's actually going to make us a better team.
Well, and then you got off to a really nice start that game, got up by 13 in the first quarter, and then Wingate kind of turns things around in the second quarter, and then from then on out it's no pun intended, a dogfight. But what kind of changed for you guys from the first quarter? What kind of adjustments did Wingate make that made things difficult for you?
Well, obviously Denasia Witherspoon, she was hitting the outside shot, and we knew that she could hit mid-range shots, but we were going to more make her try to shoot from more of the mid-range area, and she was knocking them down. And we never adjusted. It's one of those things like, well, if the kids hit, she's hit two now. We might want to get out there and guard her, and it's just little things. There's several things. Again, I think that they were attacking very well, and we weren't closing our gaps. And we only had one thing that we talked about before the game was taking charges against this team, and we only had one charge attempt. It ended up being a blocking foul. But at the end of the day, if one of my players attempts to take a charge, I'm not upset with that, even if the call is a blocking foul. I think that that's admirable that she tried to take the charge and sacrificed her body. But we didn't have that enough, and there was a lot of times where I felt like, the Wingate guards put their head down and drove to the basket, and there were times that they were out of control. Like even the last play, I felt like had we just stood in front of her, we could have very well possibly had a charge. And I don't know if the officials would have called it in that situation, but again, it would have been nice to stand your ground, basically. But it's one of those things that I just feel like the last few games we kind of been skirting by and not playing up to our potential. And hopefully this was a wake-up call, and you'll see a big difference in our team on Wednesday.
Well, and then there's been a lot of times that we've learned a ton about your team so far this season, and all of it's been pretty outstanding stuff. You get groups down by 7, as many as 7 in the fourth quarter, come back, make that furious charge, and really give yourself a chance to win it against a really good team. And even the last layup, we talked about this before we started filming. That last bucket was one that's Amber Neely makes, who was 1 of 6 before that shot in the game. She makes that probably 1 out of 50 tries. So, what did you learn about the resiliency of your group, in that game itself, and then what have you learned about your group since?
Well, the one thing that I really love about this team is, again, there was never a moment of panic in the game the entire 40 minutes. Even, when we got up 13, we weren't comfortable, we weren't relaxed, because we knew, basketball's a game of runs, and we just made a run. We knew that they were going to make a run at some point, and as much as you'd like to hope not, that's just how normally the games work out. And so, we weren't necessarily satisfied, we weren't complacent. I just felt like, the team, we just were very calm, and honestly, I enjoyed that, but I also believe that kind of mentality was the one that got us beat as well, because we have such a high belief in our team, and it's kind of like when we know we're going to pull it out, we know we're going to take care of business, that mistakes just kept on creeping in. And it's I told him, I said, this isn't coming out exactly how our team is, but the way that we were playing kind of portrayed like a nonchalant attitude, whereas more, I know it's just a confident in our team. But I told him, I was like, y'all, there wasn't a sense of urgency, and you can't let your confidence override your sense of urgency. And that, I believe that's what happened. There was several times down in the last few minutes that we made very poor decisions on the offensive end, and we really could have taken care of business and gotten a good shot, and we didn't. We had missed opportunities, and I just feel like, again, had we had the game to do all over after losing and feeling that way, our focus would have been totally different. So again, as painful as it was to lose, I do think it's going to fuel us for the next 6 games to finish out the season.
Well, and I want you to elaborate on that a little further, because obviously, they were in unknown territory for anybody, not only for the program, but in SAC history. Nobody's ever started 20-0, and obviously that does kind of perpetuate and build on itself, and there becomes a sense of pressure to keep it going. So you had mentioned earlier that you thought that it would be a good thing losing and kind of getting that monkey off your back in terms of feeling that pressure. So have you seen that so far in practice, in your first day of practice coming back?
I have. On Monday, our practice was a lot more excitement. What's happened, and again, this is the first time I've ever been in this situation, and it's obviously the first time that my players have been in this situation. So we're kind of learning how to deal with it as we go, which isn't always great, but it is what it is. But I'll tell you, even for myself, I'm passionate about coaching. This is what I love. This is what I want to do, and to stay up all night watching film is really, that's just the norm. But it turned from being passionate to obsessive, where I need to watch every single play. I need to make sure that I'm prepared. I need to, and you start getting tight. And if I'm doing that as a coach, there's no wonder that the team is doing that as players, and we've lost the excitement. We've lost the fun, even though this team, don't get me wrong, is very exciting to watch and they're very fun to be around. But as far as us playing in the way that we were just handling it and enjoying it. I think we lost it somewhere because again, it's just you're playing. You don't want Wingate to be the team to break your streak. You didn't want Brevard to be the team to break your streak, and it's not. Hey, I get the opportunity to come out and play against Wingate. That's where it used to be, that mentality. It's I don't want Wingate to mess up what we got going on here, and you can't really play games with that mentality. You have to, it's got to be exciting. It's got to be, it's different than what we were doing. And looking back, the only thing that I'm most probably disappointed with, and more myself, is just I didn't enjoy it. And I feel like I didn't allow the players to really enjoy what was happening. And that really took a lot out of our play. And so really Monday night was just, I was telling them that I was watching Brielle do her homework at the house and on Monday before practice. And we actually had practice Monday night. And I was helping her read her, Brielle's 5 years old and she's in kindergarten. She had to read like 6 different sentences. And every time she would sound out the sentence and she would read it correctly, she'd just sit there and she'd be like, yes! And she would cheer after every little sentence. And I just, was fascinated because I was like, man, she's enjoying her homework. How weird is that? She's actually having fun. And I told the players, I was like, y'all, we've lost this, in how we play. All the little things have become norm for us. We don't cheer for Shay Coker every time she hits a shot because it's just... that's what's been happening. She's supposed to hit the shot now. Or we don't cheer for every time Ross Mathis makes a great defensive stop or does something amazing. We don't cheer because it's something she's supposed to do. And I was like, y'all, we can't take for granted what we have. We've got something very special and we need to, be excited and enthusiastic about all the little things that are happening because it carries over to big things. And I felt like we got that back on Monday night.
Well, that's nice, and then you get to learn, a lot more about your team as they have to, for the first time this season, have to deal with rebounding from a loss and host Tusculum here on Wednesday night. And you look at Tusculum's record, and it's not pretty, sitting at 5-15 overall. But they beat Anderson on last Wednesday. It was who we know is a really tough team, and they're playing better basketball of late. Just had a tough loss at Lenore Ryan on Saturday, so. And we remember when we went just less than a month ago to Tusculum, they gave us all we wanted until kind of made it pulled away in the second half. So, talk about what you're hoping to see from your girls on Wednesday night.
Well, I think Tusculum's a great team. I think they've been playing better and better every single game, and especially here as of late. And to beat Anderson, Anderson gave us a run for our money at their place. And so, that's definitely something to pay attention to. But more so than just Tusculum, like I said, I wanted to use these last 2 days of practice to really focus on us and get us back to, get us back loose, get us back being aggressive because we've been starting the game here lately, like I said, with the mentality of trying not to lose instead of coming out there to win. And, I need us to have that focus back. And so that's really what practice has been, geared around. Again, that's not taking anything away from Tusculum because we're, focus on them, focus on their plays and their personnel today. But, like I said, if I feel like coming out of these 2 days of practice, we're a better team than we were on Saturday, then I think it's going to show on Wednesday.
Well, and talking about their personnel, Casey Johnson ranked 7th in the conference in scoring and has really been playing well of late. Last time around, she had 28 points against us, so obviously a big focus is going to be on her and defending her this time around.
And Casey's a hard matchup because Casey can shoot the three. She can take you off the dribble. She can also post up. She's kind of those tweeners. She's 6 foot and long, lanky. She can get up and down the floor. She just really is a matchup concern for us. But I do think it's a challenge that our players are ready to take on, and I think you're going to see a very exciting team on Wednesday night. I think you're going to see a team that genuinely loves each other and enjoys each other's company, and I hope that shows in their play.
Well, and then after that, you don't jump too far here. We know you're still focusing on Tusculum, but make the trip over, the long trip to Newberry for a place that historically has been tough to play, Leisure Arena over there. So we know that's going to be a challenge facing Newberry on this weekend.
Well, Newberry's a great team, and Sean does such a good job with his players, and they've had some great victories. Matter of fact, I believe they're the only team that beat Columbus State, who's ranked highly in our region, and so I mean they can get hot quickly, and I think that they're a very smart, very fundamentally sound team. So again, I think that's definitely something we got to focus on and put together a game plan, and we'll start working on that Wednesday night once we get past Tusculum.
Well, and then what are you expecting to see from your girls after that, bouncing back from that loss?
Like I said, I just think that as hard as it was to swallow getting beat, the excitement, the pep in our step, all the little things that we had Monday night was very encouraging. I mean, practice was fun and exciting, and that's really what the game should be like. And I just feel like if we could get back to playing how we were when we were loose and playing to win, then we'll be a great team to watch come Wednesday night.